You're welcome back to the AM Weekend Show. Right now, we're going to be having our first conversation. We'll be talking about the heartbreaking story coming out of Unizik, the 100 level law student. Suddenly died because of what I would call the carelessness of the staff of the hostel, Elmada Hostel of Unizik. And Chioma, her name is Ajana Chioma Isabella. She lost her life after being denied access to her own room where her insulin was kept. So they have this rule, they have this policy that you shouldn't lose your key, you shouldn't misplace your key. And if you do that, you have to pay the sum of 120,000 naira to recover your key. So she had misplaced her key. She came back from classes, so she went straight to her hostel and she was trying to gain access to her room. She was feeling weak, she was feeling dizzy, and she met with the staff of the hostel. The hostel kept, the staff kept, insisting that she's not going to get access to her room. And so her situation worsened. I think it was for 3 days. They didn't allow her get into her room to get her medication. After several attempts, she brought her friend to beg. In fact, at some point, they were trying to, consider eventually paying the money, but at least let me get in and get this thing. So she didn't accept until she slumped. I think she slumped, and people now gathered and started calling the woman and started asking for justice. And then the lady was trying to escape, so they had to hold her. So it's just a very, very sad one. And it now brings us to really want to critically look at these things. When we are talking about situations like this, which one are we supposed to value more? Safety of people or structure and maintaining policy? At some point, we obviously we don't know where to draw the line. It is just clear that we don't know where to draw the line. If in a bid to maintain policy, to maintain structure, to maintain order, somebody is losing their lives, then it's something that we really need to sit down and critically look into. And that's why we've just been joined by Barrister Chidi, a human rights lawyer, and the CEO, Ujoatumba and Company. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
So good to see you.
Welcome.
You look good, by the way.
And you too.
Good and different.
So, this is a sad story. I even feel, I don't feel like smiling right now. But yeah, I'd like to hear from you. Generally, after you saw that story, what came to your mind? What was your first reaction?
First of all, my heart goes out to the family of Ijoma Ajana because of the great loss. What a wasted life. What, inspiring to be a lawyer, and now all those dreams and aspirations will not come to pass. But now, going into the story, there are so many gaps. If she actually lost her key and her roommates are helping her to beg, doesn't mean that the whole of the roommate has only one key. I don't know whether you thought about that. They say that there are other 3 girls who stays in that same room, or 2 girls with her. Doesn't mean that all of them lost their key at the same time. That's the first gap I saw when I was analyzing the story. Now, the second gap I saw is that she slept outside her house for 3 days without having access to her drugs. Is there not any other place you can get insulin? Insulin is common.
Like healthcare.
The first thing that came to my mind, she didn't call
Is there not any other place you can get insulin? We didn't get the information that her phone was locked inside. She had her phone. She was with people who were not as sick as she was. You understand? What effort did they make, knowing fully well that she needed medication and they have been locked out? So, all of them, did they lose their key? And is there no other place within that 3 days? 3 days is...
Or even go home.
Go home, or call their parents, or raise an alarm where they can get insulin for her. Or what? I need someone to fill me in on these 2 gaps, because there are major gaps. I can't really...
Yes, I totally agree.
When you go through the story, I went through the story in almost all the newspapers. There are many
gaps
different
everywhere,
versions.
and it looks like different versions.
Different versions. So we're saying that the hostel mistress was traveled. I think either in Vanguard or one paper that the hostel mistress traveled. So we're saying that the hostel mistress was there, that she actually stopped refused blatantly. So we're saying that the 120,000 naira was for the 4 roommates, 40,000 naira. I heard so many versions of them because I was just trying to get my hands on the real thing
story
that actually happened. So be that as it may, like you rightly pointed out, this kind of thing cuts across almost every spectrum of social and civil organization. Okay? Once you see someone in a little elevated position where he or she thinks that he has gotten some power, the next thing you will see, there will be an operation against those who are beneath. Should I use lecturers and students to give you an example? Which one should I use people who are learning trade in the market? Everywhere there is a little power that has been given. It's about policemen, it's about custom. Anywhere there is power, there must be an abuse. If that power is not well checked, if that power, no matter how little that power is, you know, when we cry to God all day, we beg God, has God ever come down to help anybody? Once you have a problem now, what God will do is to bring people, human beings, flesh and blood. He will bring them around you to help you solve the problem, to give you sense, to make you understand how to get through the particular predicament you've put yourself in. So, once one sees himself as a little God, as a very little God, they start doing things that unimaginable things. Unimaginable things. Yes, I am of the opinion, I'm a disciplinarian. I am of the opinion that measures should be taken to ensure that certain things doesn't occur, probably with depressing regularity. But in certain special circumstances, when health and life is involved, I think we should wear this new cloth of humanity. That's what we should put on. You see this cloth of humanity, we should put it on and ask ourselves this question: what if she's my daughter? What if she's my sister? You understand? You have to be human. And everything that has to do with rules and regulations and policy has to be secondary. When health and life is the issue, everything that has to do with policy, because laws are meant for us. We're not meant for the laws. So everything that has to do with policy, regulations has to be. Look, let me tell you, if you come to court, no matter how prepared you are, no matter how passionate you are about the case, okay, and then they call up your case, and you stand up, and then the court registrar or the judge reads a letter to you that the lawyer on the other side wrote a letter for adjournment that he is unable to attend case today on the ground of ill health. No cost will be awarded, no charges will be awarded, nobody will be penalized, just because you said on the grounds of what? Ill health. This is what really makes me understand that you have to be alive to obey a policy. You have to be alive to maintain a principle. You have to be alive to, stick to rules and regulation. So their inability to balance that strict measures of not wanting anyone to lose his key, you understand? And when a case of life is involved, their inability to balance that is what has brought us to this very particular problem where we have found ourselves now. But as for what happened, it is not strange, you understand? It is something that cuts across every spectrum of social and civil organization. Once power is given to someone, just watch and see. He will use that power against those who are beneath and below that person. And it's something that we have to talk about all the time.
From the question, from what Divine said, imagine watching this lady for like 3 days.
Yes.
She's getting weaker and weaker, and you can
she's
still insist that they will pay for something before they
and
get
you're looking for
and
money.
you're looking at them.
That thing that would have, why don't you go and get insulin?
You get.
If they had gathered money to rush to town to get insulin, look at, okay, Unizik is even in the center of the town. So if they had worked to get a spare insulin, no matter the time this lady opens the door, the life of
would have been
that would have been secondary measure. First measure, please be a human being. She's ill. Give us a spare key so we can have us. Because she said that she jammed, that it's like the door jammed or something, and her own key is inside the apartment. So that would have been the first option A. Option B, we gather money, rush to town, get her those medications so she can be taking them. That's what I'm talking about. Those measures, none of them we are taking. And those, a proper investigation has to be done here. And I saw another gap. Why is the school investigating? The school shouldn't investigate. ICPC or police.
Exactly, an external body should investigate. I saw it. They released a statement and they said everybody should be calm and and also Nance released a letter as well that was that was clamoring for justice. So we now got the response as from the school. You calm down, this and that.
And where is the police in this
whole thing? Thinking it's an affair between Nance and Unizik.
So where is the police in this whole thing? I mean, the police should have taken the forefront.
We're talking about loss of life. The police, I think the police should be there by now.
Forefront of the whole matter.
Thing, because first and foremost, now we really have to call a spade a spade.
A spade.
An autopsy has to be done. Cause of death has to be determined. It's from the cause of death that we now start analyzing every other thing, probably which would have happened as a result of her not being able to have access to her drug within the space of what? 3 days. A proper, in-depth medical analysis and also criminal investigation has to be conducted. And I think that the person who is the right person to do that is the police.
It's the police.
It's the police. So the institution does not have any rights. They can do their own preliminary in-house investigation, which will be handed over to the police. You understand? And police should also do their own independent criminal investigation with respect to what happened. Time and those 3 days, where was she? Those 3 days, where was she? How will it be possible for someone to stay outside her house, her own apartment for 3 days, and you are still alive, and you are still breathing, and you are sick, and you did not make any tangible effort to get the insulin?
And I'm hearing that they were trying to pay. When you could have just, the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the story and read it was like, why didn't you call home? Why didn't you just use one of, maybe the first day it wasn't working, you could have called your mom immediately, see what's going on. If they are coming, they will come. If you're going back home, you go back home.
Honestly, there are a lot of gaps.
There
are lots of gaps.
A level one, yeah. Do you know that he can even go on live chat, and start begging the masses, you understand? On live chat. To beg this person that she's losing breath. I believe that within 3 hours, calls will be made, and she will get entrance into. She had her phone, doing other things with it.
Even if she did not have
her life is at risk.
She had her friends.
And even the friends.
Even a passerby.
If she was weak, at least the friends could have gone live. There are loopholes.
Yeah, a lot of
loopholes.
I
was trying to get in touch. I was trying to get in touch with one of our contact persons to see if I can get maybe an eyewitness or someone who knows better, so that we can hear and fill up these gaps. But in the meantime, since we don't have that, we hope that, of course, it's a developing story. We'll find out what the investigations are like and what the updates are. But if we're just going to work with the information that we have currently, legally speaking now, who should take responsibility for this kind of death? At least first person. In the we have the friend, we have the lady herself, we have the hostel staff. So who is meant to take key responsibility for a death like this?
Like I said earlier on, an autopsy needs to be properly conducted to find the actual cause of death and the time of death. When that is determined, then we can now start allotting blames, okay? The hostel mistress who blatantly refused to release just a spare key, I think it's just a spare key, for her to have access to her, depending on the result of the autopsy. A lot of blame. This is a clear case of negligence. But if you allow me, I will add both negligence and wickedness. You understand? This is a clear case of negligence. So she has a whole lot of questions to answer. But then, probably I'm even looking at how strong is the arm of the law to actually, make her pay or to put her in prison if she can say, I didn't know, I didn't see any medical reports, I didn't know that she was critical. You understand? I was on my duty.
Honestly,
I was on my duty and I was obeying the laws or the regulations that has to do with my duty. I'm not thinking critically like a lawyer because you want me to talk legally. Okay? I'm talking legally now without any sentiment. Okay? Fine. We can throw blames at her. She is in the position to soak up all the blames. But those other roommates, you understand, they also should be blamed to an extent. This is a private hostel. The institution has no blame here.
Okay. Yes,
this is a private hostel.
They made it clear. I was reading the...
This is a private hostel, not a hostel that is being run by Unizik. This is a private hostel. So the institution should not be blamed here. If there's any blame that should be apportioned to the institution, it should be whether the institution have made a standing regulation that governs tenancy, that governs the way these owners of apartments should treat students, because they should work hand in glove. It is the existence of the institution that brought out the market for you to build hostels and for students to. But coming to think of it, if there's enough hostel in the institution to harbor all the all the people that have been offered admission.
Mr. Chidi, let's not go there.
Okay, let's not go into
I mean,
that.
because I saw Unical, for instance, now they had to let go of about 300 students because they had inflated admission and they found out that they suddenly couldn't accommodate that much.
them.
I don't know. That's a story. That's another story for another day.
You see students living inside,
I don't get it.
And the hostel is I don't know.
Very far away from the school. Like very, very far away from the school. Is space that does not have any relationship with the school, but they are there because the whole environment.
The school environment has something to do to your learning process. The school environment has something to do to your security. The school environment has something to do to your health.
Your health.
You understand? They have clinics and all the rest of it. It's a community of its own.
I mean,
I'm using this opportunity to call out on VCs and DVCs to go back to that old style of ensuring, because it's also part of the thing that makes campus complete. Okay, that's what we call campus. It's not just about places where we can go and do laboratory tests in the classroom or where we can go and learn. The hostel. Enough hostels should be made available for them inside the school. Because I believe that if enough hostel was made available, they will not be meeting up this kind of stringent measures for someone who lost his key, for someone who just probably misplaced or loses his key. It's very, very stringent, and I think the government and the school authority also need to look into it. This is an opportunity, because I heard, as I was trying to read some of the stories, that in the same school last 2 weeks, a young man who was playing football slumped and died at the spot in a court where they were playing football. If you had read some of the stories, you can hear that they are still trying to grapple with the story of the young man at the 300 level biochemistry guy who was playing football in the pitch and he slumped and died. That's also another health challenge. That's also another issue that needs to be looked into. So I think that yes, she may not have died in a hostel, being that within the campus, but this is also a discussion that is on the burner for the school to look into policies and regulation, that how they can work hand in glove to ensure the safety, the health, and also the well-being of the people who are being harbored by this private hostels that are scattered all around the institution.
Yeah. Now, let's look at the families. What are the options they have at this particular time? Are there options they have to pursue this so that it wouldn't be swept under the carpet?
Some families wouldn't want this memory to linger. Some would want to get it over and done with. Some would also want justice, because lost is lost, okay? They can press charges. You see that hostel? They can press charges. They can press charges. Like you rightly pointed out, policies should have a human side of it, okay? Regulations that are put in place to protect people's safety should also have a human face. So everything should not just be an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth, okay? When health issues comes up, there should be a rapid response measure being put in place to take care of that. And if such is not put in place, that particular lady and the hostel that she works for, they'll be going in for a big case of negligence. And if the parents press charges, they will be paying hundreds of millions to them. Yeah, they can.
Okay.
It's actionable. That's what I'm trying to say. It's actionable. Yes. Very actionable.
So is it realistic now to expect that schools would monitor the activities of these off-campus hostels? Is it something realistic?
It's realistic in the sense that before you build and before you open up a hostel for, let's take for instance Unizik now, which is on the burner. Before you build and before you open up a hostel and before you now expect people to now come and live inside that hostel, you should get a clearance and an authorization from the VC, from the school management. They should come for inspection. They have to look at the nature of the accommodation. They have to look at the rules and regulation. Do you know that people who are not actually students, who are not students, who have not been offered admission, can go and rent one of those accommodations and live amongst them and do mayhem to the students, or lure them into drugs, or bring in all kinds of things, because If you say you are building this for students, it's going to be purely for students, and those who are students occupying the institution should know that this is where they are actually occupying. It's roll call, okay? If you commit any crime within the institution, they should know where you are living. They should know your address. They should know where to come and find you. If anything is about to happen to you, they should know the hostel master or the hostel mistress to call. If you have not shown up in school over a long period of time, let's take, for instance, you are occupying an apartment on your own, and those who are probably your neighbors, they are not your departmental members. It could be a law student, the next person could be a medical student, the next person could be an engineering student, and you have not shown up, and nobody have known that you are dying inside your own apartment. The class rep should pull up your data and say, this is the hostel where she's residing, where he's living, and put a call to you, to the hostel master. They can knock at your door to know whether you are still alive. This is intel. It needs to be on ground. You need to work with them. You don't need rocket science to develop these measures. You don't need rocket science to develop these measures. So,
this thing you mentioned just got me thinking of a particular story very similar. How this person started to rot in the house and no one knew. Nobody knew. I don't even know the way parents feel. I don't know how families are coping. You send your child to school, you don't know what's going on with them. The school authority does not know what's going on with them. The classes,
did you ever hear? There's no way I heard in the story that the parents of the lady put a call to the mistress, to the hostel mistress.
That's exactly another thing. Because
No.
I'm thinking about reform.
Someone you are meeting, collect your number, send it to my parent. I'm dying.
You know, I'm thinking about
another thing too could be this. Okay, go on.
Go ahead.
This agency thing too, because I remember in one of the lodges I stayed in school, we never really had the main landlord's number, and there was no that particular lodge did not even have a staff, like somebody seeing what's it called now? Caretaker. It didn't have a caretaker that was resident, that was living there. The caretaker only comes in maybe once in a month to check one or two things, ensure that everybody has paid their. These people are strictly business.
They don't
and then
really
the
care
school
about
makes it look like, it's not like they say it outrightly, but it's almost, you're very sure that it is at your risk. If you did not get hostel, by the way, getting hostel was like getting admission too. After getting admission, you now have to pray hard and wait and do all sorts of things just to get hostel. And if you don't get, at your risk.
You know, at the same time, I'm thinking
inside the school for students.
Still, even in building hostel for inside the school, who pays attention to this hostel? Who takes care of this hostel? Does not have, as much as I know, does not have any like a hostel mistress around that checks the hostel and know how things are going on.
They do.
But at the end of the day, you see them still do anyhow they want to be.
Well, which of them are you talking about? The school hostels.
They do. In Unizik here, when most of the hostels are functioning effectively, you understand?
Exactly.
You don't do it anyhow.
Exactly. When it's still functioning effectively.
There are people maintaining things and ensuring that that everything is well, water, sanitation, lights. There are people there to make sure that those things are provided.
Now, this is where I'm coming from. You mentioned about when it is effective. These days, it's more like, okay, you've gotten hostel, we'll make sure you have lights and water. But the necessary things about paying attention to the students living there, or even when they need help, most of the time,
they don't really interfere. I don't know whether you
understand what I'm saying.
If you have seen where this thing works out in real time, the hostel masters and hostel mistresses, there's no interference, except when you bring a case to them. No interference. They don't interfere. If there's a curfew, probably they say you're not supposed to stay outside till this time. This is the time they're locking. They enforce that regulation by locking that gate at that time, and to ensure that no one goes in and no one goes out. If there are things like loss of key now, that's why they're just there to oversee. You understand? To oversee certain regulations. They don't really interfere on things. If you're having squabble, if you're having disagreement with it's none of your business. Go and report to the
unless it's something that affects the hostel somehow. Maybe you're using an appliance or something is burning, or
maybe
or you're breaking a rule.
You have a plumbing issue. You don't go and call your own plumber. They will call their own in-house plumber. These are things that confine them. your own, the way you stay there and all those utilities that you enjoy. They're not interfering, you know that.
On the final notes, which means we're saying that if this thing had happened in the school hostel, perhaps things would have had a different outcome.
Or probably it wouldn't even have happened.
It wouldn't even have happened.
It wouldn't have stayed up to 24 hours before she can gain entrance into that hostel. But the class rep will be there. The school community is a holistic community. You understand? There won't be much doubt or much deterrence, you understand? Or much punishment for loss of key. Even though such regulation will be there, it won't be as stringent as you saw it outside.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, we've come to the end of this segment because, I mean, our time is up and our next guest is waiting. I want to believe that.
It's okay.
I mean,
it's a
hopefully
story that we
we'll
need
get
to follow
more.
up.
Yes,
we need to follow up on the story to see how it goes.
Hopefully within the week, depending on how fast we get more details on the story, we could have you within the week.
Yeah.
Or
I pray her death will not be in vain. That as this circumstance has occurred, let it make one or two things, work out well within that community so that we can immortalize her so she doesn't just die in vain.
Thank you so much, Barrister Chidi. Thank you. That was Barrister Chidi Ujoatumba, a human rights lawyer and the CEO, Ujoatumba and Company. And to you out there, just stay safe. Try your best to stay safe and, of course, ensure that you put things in place for yourself, because at this point, it is obvious you can't depend on anybody to do it for you. Watch out for yourself, watch out for your friends, watch out for your family, and stay healthy too, so that you don't get into situations like this. And that is what we have on this particular segment. Up next on the AM Weekend Show is another very interesting one. We're going to be looking at kids' learning culture. We'll be checking between books and screens, which one works better for kids and which is causing damage or even, helping the kids grow better after this short break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.